So I'm here with Mr. Falkvinge, founder of the Private Party. Mr. Falkvinge, can I ask you some questions about Bitcoin?
Of course, I'd love to. It's one of my favorite technologies, both the currency and the blockchain technology. Bitcoin is going to do for banks what email did to the postal service. And when I realized how big Bitcoin was going to become, I infamously put all my savings and all my credit line into Bitcoin. And this was in May 2011. So
you're a happy camper right now?
I'm a happy camper. I lost a ton of it to speculation. I have to admit that I thought it was funny to trade, which was the worst mistake I ever did compared to the best investment I ever did, which was buying the Bitcoin in the first place. But I'm absolutely happy. It's just that in the past, say, month or so since the Mt. Gox collapse, empty Gox collapse, the markets have been kind of boring. There haven't been a lot of new news coming out. Every week or so there's another news of China banning Bitcoin, but we've heard that the past week and the week before that and the week before that again. So,
well, there is a lot of news, but it's not sexy news. It's more technical news and innovation news.
There's technical news, and there's a lot of hints that entrepreneurs are starting new, very interesting services. There was a huge Forbes article the other day, which was nailing one of my key drivers for Bitcoin that I identified in 2011 about how this cuts down merchant fees and provides a competitive advantage to retailers accepting Bitcoin at point of sale, which in turn will drive out credit cards first via a rebate offered to Bitcoin by people buying Bitcoin, and then over time that rebate will become a new baseline, driving out credit cards from the market. And Forbes identified that. So things are happening. The sentiment is there. But then again, I mean, every new technology takes about 10 years from conception or inception until you hit the mainstream use case. That was the case with streaming video, that was the case with blogging, that was the case with file sharing, that's been the case with about every really groundbreaking technology, and Bitcoin is certainly a groundbreaking technology, which means that I expect a mainstream breakthrough about 2019, 2020, somewhere around there.
So your prediction still holds for that?
I think it does. I absolutely think it still does. And what I really like about that when I tell it to entrepreneurs is the follow-up observation that this observation, which has shown no sign of not holding true, means that the service or the company that makes Bitcoin mainstream has not yet been founded.
BitPay, maybe?
BitPay is a great innovator. They certainly have a huge head start in Bitcoin payments. But you know what I miss in the ecosystem? BitPay allows for legacy players to accept a new payment system.
Makes the transition easier.
It makes the transition easier. But that's not the transition I want. I'm looking at a new project now, and I want that company to be Bitcoin native. I want the bridge in the other direction. I want to accept credit cards and get paid in Bitcoin, and that service does not exist today.
I heard a lot of people about it the last few years, but I haven't seen it yet.
Right, that's my point, right? So you have the ability for legacy players to accept the new. You don't have the ability for new players to accept the legacy. I think we need that.
So maybe BitPay can incorporate it in their business model. Why not?
Well, I asked them. I'm hoping they may consider and do that. Or if not, the field's open. I mean, anybody reading this has a right business case right before their eyes.
Well, what's their stance on it? Were they enthusiastic about the idea? Or?
I tweeted and they said it wasn't in their service offering at this time, I believe.
Okay. I'm beating around the bush, but
so that's my. I guess that's my beat at this point. I want the next business I start the Bitcoin native, and I can't do that today. I want the interface to legacy systems.
So you mentioned in your talk in 2011 that the famous quote, first they fight you, what was it, and ignore you, and they laugh at you, then you win.
Oh yeah, Gandhi's quote.
Yeah. So where do you think we are now?
Well, we're not being ignored, that's for sure. It's not by the financial press. We're not being ridiculed any longer. And I don't think we're being really fought either. It's important to realize that first they ignore, then they ridicule, then they fight, and then you win.
Yeah, that's the correct order.
It's not... that doesn't apply to all society at once. It only applies to certain groups and how you win one group after another. I think the financial press has gradually gone through this entire scale. So, I mean, now that Forbes is essentially predicting a phase out of credit cards, you can't really get more win than that. Whereas the mainstream old media, I mean, if you look at general audience, television, newspapers, Bitcoin, what Bitcoin? They don't get it yet.
No, okay, but they're not, how do you call it, they only follow the news, I guess. They don't make the news. They're not on the front line, so to speak.
I think that was my point. So yeah, that's better summarizing it.
So, what do you think that the bank's reaction will be? I heard someone say that it will be, at one point in time, the velvet glove will come off the iron fist, as someone predicted. What's your prediction, Mike? I don't think they will just sit by idly and watch their business model get taken to the ground.
I think it's important to realize that Bitcoin threatens central banks, but not commercial banks. There are still many services that commercial banks provide that can be provided just as well or better with Bitcoin. What they can't do is conjure up money out of thin air. But there's nothing preventing them from lending money at an interest. There's nothing preventing them from accepting deposits. There's nothing preventing them from providing stock trading services. So all of this can continue.